What is up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com. And in today's video, I have something a bit special for you guys. I recently developed a parasite SEO SERP research method, and I wanted to just share it with you guys, show you what I'm doing here on screen, and then talk about the benefits of this kind of research. I might even make this into a microservice, possibly. I'm going to have to think about it. But here's a template that I developed for a previous a niche that I had been working with, and I just emptied it out. And in this little example, we're going to be doing marketing consultation, web design, and SEO, and we're just going to be doing it for getivan.com. So first things first, we need to get a list of domains. Now, it's a lot easier to scrape from Bing, and since the major directories are ranking in Bing just pretty similarly to how they're ranking in Google, it's a lot better to just go ahead and scrape from Bing because it's faster, and we can get the results with a lot fewer errors. So in order to do that, we need to create a keyword list. So I'm actually going to do that using a combination of the top 5,000 cities in the United States and a keyword multiplier with some of the core terms that I like to see the SERPs for. Let me put this up here. So I have a list of these top 5,000 cities. I'll put this list in the description below this video. I have a list of 40,000 cities in America, but I have found through some tests that the top 5,000 and the top 40,000 yield pretty similar results, and the top 40,000 it's a lot more cumbersome, a lot more scraping to do. So because they're so similar, I just kind of stick with the top 5,000. Interesting little point here. If you look at the population down here at the bottom, let's see, at about, looks like the 3,000 or so mark, we're looking at cities that have less than 10,000, population. So it's really interesting because when you count this row, or this column, I mean, you see it says 175,000 or 175 million. So it's interesting that that's about half the population, a little bit less than half the population of the United States. And I just thought that was really neat because that means that the other half of the population of the U.S. is made up of cities that have a population less than 4,000 people. So I thought that was really curious. Now, I'm sure a lot of those are going to be hit by proximity from some of these bigger places, but I just wanted to mention that as a point of interest. Let's go ahead and grab these cities. So I'm just going to do a shift click here to the bottom and copy this, Control C. I'm going to come over here to my text cleaner and paste these in here so that I can remove that extra space between the state suffix and the city. Let's go spaces, remove extra spaces. This site is text cleaner without the ER, just an R.com. So that does that. I'm going to copy those and then paste them down here. And then up here at the top, I'm going to put, actually, let me look at my website here, and then maybe we can grab the right keywords. So marketing consultant, web design, maybe website design, SEO, obviously Google SEO. Well, maybe not Google SEO. We'll just do SEO, web design. Let's take a look at this web design page. Business website design management. Let's think. That's probably want to keep it simple, not get too obscure here. Let's go ahead and just do web design, SEO, and marketing. I know that consulting is a big one. Let's do consultant. Marketing consultant. Web design, SEO, marketing consultant. We're going to mash these together. That's going to give us a list, 15,000 terms. So we're going to copy those. And then I'm going to head over to my little local server here. And, I'm going to use Scrapebox. I found that it doesn't really do much good to scrape for long tail variations because a lot of those posts, a lot of the websites that pop up for those things are often just kind of general tech blogs. They're not really the stuff we're looking for. We're looking, in this case, for this parasite SEO method, we're looking for directory listings. So the main thing I've noticed that is really promising are like yellow pages listings, and for specific locations, and Yelp listings for specific locations, because those are places where we can create pages, right, or listings, or we can have someone create listings, and we can piggyback. And if you don't know what parasite SEO is, it's basically where you're creating a post or some sort of ranking within another website that has a page that's ranking in Google or some other search engine that's then getting traffic. And so rather than going straight for the search engine, you're ranking in something else that's way easier to rank in, way easier to get exposure through. And then when people click on that result in the search engine, then you have exposure to traffic. So and stuff like Yellow Pages is just super easy to get indexed and ranking for. You don't even have to have reviews in many cases. But okay, I'm going to paste my keywords here, delete that bottom line. We could probably have more here. Let me think. Let me look at my page here. Website design and management. So website management service. Maybe. Let's look at this. Maybe Google SEO. Not really sure I want to spend a whole lot of time pondering this, actually. Maybe just want to continue with the plan and just keep it simple. Actually, instead of SEO, let's do SEO services. Yeah. Services, web design, services. Should we do services or web design service? SEO services, web design services, or web design service. Let's just go ahead and do services. Okay. Let me see if that populated there. Okay, so that's good to go. Let's paste this in. And sorry, there's a gnat here. Let's go ahead and start harvesting. Got my proxies loaded now. I'm going to make sure to only put 10 results here. That way we're just, in the top 10. I'm going to start harvesting. We're only going to select Bing, and it'll go really, really quickly because Bing is very forgiving. So you can see it's going quickly. I'm going to skip ahead to the end. By the way, if you're wondering about the proxies I was using, they are web share proxies. I will put a link to the proxy service below in the description. New proxy service I discovered because of actually a YouTube subscriber who mentioned them. And I was impressed with them because they're super cheap and the proxies are fast and have a high success rate. So I do recommend them. Excuse me. So it's finished. We're going to exit to main. That gave us 124,000 URLs. Let's go ahead and you want to make sure also that you have turned off auto remove duplicate URLs, because you actually want those URLs so that you can have your spreadsheet count the number of repetitions of a particular URL, and then you can tell which URLs are ranking the most frequently across the pool, and then you can kind of kill a bunch of birds with one stone by making a Yellow Pages listing, for example, for that particular location that is ranking there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all these URLs to clipboard, and let's name this web design SEO so yeah, marketing consultant, web design, SEO, USA, Bing scrape, URLs, unscrubbed. Okay, and let me move these here. Okay, so then over in our consultation spreadsheet here, you can just create a new spreadsheet, and it's not difficult to build this from the ground up. And I'm going to open that file. Give me one moment. Actually, I'm going to just paste these URLs in here. I don't even know why I saved them that way. Let's just go ahead and paste them. Let's paste them here. Count to make sure, yeah, 124K. And then it's actually, these tabs should really be like this, I think. And looks like this row is not frozen, so I'm going to select this row, go to view, and then go to freeze panes, freeze top row. Make sure that you do that for all those. Those need to be for, you can tell because there's like the line's a little bit solid there at the bottom of that top row. So we got all the URLs there. Actually, we need to go back into Scrapebox and trim to root. So let's trim these to the root, and then copy all these to clipboard. Save this first. Okay, domain count. So it's still unscrubbed, but we trimmed it to the root domain because we want to count the repetitions of the domains in general. So actually, should this be, yeah, maybe I don't know. I can't really tell which one should be first. Okay, so then we're going to do what's called, we're going to do what's called a pivot table. So we're going to select this column, go to insert. So you click on this column, go to insert, then pivot table. And then we're going to go to, let's see, this is correct. Once you pre-selected, this will be correct. You're just going to click on existing worksheet, then click this arrow, then click on this column here, click this arrow again, add this to data model. I've been clicking this. I don't even know if this is necessary, but oh well, it's added to the data model. I'm going to click OK. And then this pops out. Just click on this. When this pivot table field thing comes out, click on this SERP domains thing. And should be able to drag this down to rows. Usually when you click on it, it'll add it automatically to the rows. You also want to drag this here to the values. And that's basically it. You can actually, that's the basic method for getting, information on your data there. But you can actually pivot the table into a chart, or like a bar chart, a bar graph if you want it to be more visual. But I found that the table count is pretty useful. So once you do that, then basically you want to it has assigned values to the whole list, so you really want to cut them down and eliminate things that aren't, don't have a high level of repetition. So I think it's best to sort first. So you click on the drop down, go to sort, and then descending by count of SERP domains, click OK. And you see now it's organized it to show the highest level of repetitions. And I kind of like to click down a bit just to see how many. So that's like at 1,000. That's at 1,000 domains right there at 8 repetitions. So probably want to cut that off at maybe 100 or something like that. Yeah, because we don't really need to see a bajillion domains. We just need to see the biggest and baddest. So you click this little drop down arrow again, you go to value filters, greater than or equal to, and it needs to be count of SERP domains is greater than or equal to, and then you put your value. This is like 100 here. So then we can click on this column and we see there's about 67. So about 67 domains that have over 100 repetitions. So this is over 100 repetitions of the domain in general across 124,000 URLs. So I don't know how you guys feel about this. I haven't really talked about this to anyone recently, but when I figured this out, I think it's just really, really cool because it gives you insight into what's going on in the SERPs, statistically, and you can use that information to, like I said earlier, make these little business listings in various places and sort of get a little bit of trickle of traffic or potential of some traffic in some places. Okay, so obviously at number 1, you'll see yellow pages. This is something I found in the other test I did. And when we do the same process for the URL count, you're going to see it's very different. So yellow pages, I have noticed, is consistently the king of specialized rankings. So they have a whole lot of rankings in this kind of case study where we're looking at keywords and locations where these rankings are focused on specific cities. That's why there's over 13,000 yellow pages domain repetitions, But when we do the URL count, you're going to see this. It's going to be very different. There are other websites who have these power pages that have a lot of URL repetitions. So they have specific pages that are ranking a whole lot, whereas Yellow Pages has a lot of different pages, and the domain is ranking a whole lot. You know what I mean? So this means that for, say, a small town, you could make a business listing, focus on that small town, and you could shoot right up to the top, But that also brings us into the realm of, okay, what's the search volume? And we're going to add the search volume here in just a second after we add the URL count. So let's take a look at some of these other ones. So you can see Facebook is at the top. So that would be, Facebook listings for specific business pages that are ranking. It's interesting, but it doesn't really help. Like maybe you could find a gig where someone could make a Facebook page that has a keyword focused in the business name that's very generic that could just really rank for that particular location. It's certainly a possibility. LinkedIn, let's see, no, Thumbtack, Better Business Bureau. Now, a quick note on the Better Business Bureau. I've done a couple of reputation management jobs over the years, and these guys are the enemy of all reputation management. These listings have some sort of magical power to rank above everything, and that might be noteworthy. I kind of avoid this service like the plague now, but maybe you could use it to your advantage by creating a fake business entity and using it to rank for a particular location, possibly. So, again, naming it, fanciful SEO, Fort Worth, Texas, and then maybe you could rank a Better Business Bureau page for some sort of SEO Fort Worth, Texas term possible. Not SEO, but you get what I'm saying, right? Top SEOs, Yelp. So Yelp had a pretty good number, but it's interesting because Yelp is one of those that has those power pages, and they just don't have as much diversification as Yellow Pages does. It's pretty crazy because I would say that Yellow Pages is a much older brand name, but these days Yelp is kind of viewed as being more authoritative in terms of its traffic, I would speculate. But it's interesting to see what's really happening in the SERPs. We got Foursquare, we got MapQuest, Super Pages. This is an entity owned by Yellow Pages. YellowPagesDirectory.com. That might be like another entity owned by Yellow Pages. It could be just like a knockoff, like Yellow Book. Sometimes you'll see Yellow Book. Angie's List. There's Yellow Book. Excuse me. YouTube. That's cool. Upwork. And this is really interesting because Upwork, I can tell you for a fact, they're ranking for a pretty good number of like consultancy and marketing types of terms. I mean, it's just kind of surprising that it's not even that high, really. But I made tens of thousands of dollars in the 3 years or so that I really focused on Upwork, and they get all their traffic from Google. They get all their traffic ranking for Google SEO or web design types of terms. So that's curious. That would probably be a more Power Pages type of thing, and then they probably match the results once they land to whatever their locality is. I've seen pages though that are specifically geared toward specific users. I used to be the number one what do you call it, SEO consultant in Fort Worth on the Upwork page for Fort Worth, but I haven't done Upwork in a couple of years. Bing places. So, anyways, we'll move on, but you kind of get the idea. You can look through these and sort of make a plan. And there are people that you can order gigs on Fiverr from guys who do, bulk directory listing creation types of things. So, there's a cost to it, but it's just another level of diversification, for your lead gen purposes, right? Let's do the same thing with our URLs list here. We got that column selected. Let's select this B column, add this to the data table, and boom, boom, boom. Let's drag SERP URLs to the rows and then to the values. I wonder why the number is lower here. It says 92,000. I wonder why it went down. Huh, it seems like a glitch or maybe something I've overlooked. Anyways, let's close this. Let's go to this little arrow here. It's kind of annoying how it gets a little bit too large. Let's go to descending values, count of SERP URLs. Yeah, I think it's lagging a bit. Let me skip ahead while this pens here. Okay, so let me click this again, and actually, sorry, I need to look at the actual number here. Golly. Goes from 1,500 to, sorry, give me just a second. So it goes from 1,500, drops down really quickly. How many do we have? A whole bunch. And probably don't really need to be below 15. Let's just do a value filter on the number 15. And that leaves us with 86. So that's all right. So apparently this page from the balance SMB is ranking in a lot of places. What is a marketing consultant? That'd be a cool place to get a backlink from. But let's see, GoDaddy websites, web design, Thrive Agency, MainStreetHost.com, government page, business water, clean water, waste system. Not sure what's going on there. That seems a little odd. Vistaprint.com, coalition, yada, yada, yada. Let's see if we can spot a director. Here's Yelp. Here's a search for web design, 38. Actually, I've noticed that when you search for these that have these criteria, it results in like a particular city. Let's see. It could have been just something from my previous thing that, look at this, location Houston. Let me open another window, make sure that that wasn't from some other thing that I searched for. I'm sure it was. No, it's hard to tell. So that's very interesting. Let's keep going. Near me web design company. That's cool. See what that brings up. It's probably going to ask us for our location. It's got us stuck on Houston. Huh. Let's keep going. Thumbtack, Columbia, Missouri. Web design. That's interesting. Decatur, Georgia. Web design for Thumbtack. Here's MapQuest for marketing consultants. Here's another Thumbtack, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Let's keep going. Oh, that's it. CDC.gov. Coronavirus. What to do when you're sick. That's just crazy. That's just crazy right there. Louisville, Kentucky, marketing consultants for Yellow Pages. Now that's interesting. So yeah, some really cool opportunities. What did I say I was going to show? Oh, let's take a look at the keyword research. And then we can kind of like compare, based on taking some of these and filtering through the URLs, So let's do the Yellow Pages. This sample actually has some other things that I didn't have in my other case study. Particularly this has Thumbtack. That didn't show up in the other niche that I was looking at when I developed this method, so that would have to be a tab added for this particular case. But let's do a thing for Yellow Pages. I'm going to go ahead and copy all these URLs, again. And let's go to my thing. Where's my client here? Okay. So let's clear this. Let's paste here. And let me remove this one. So I probably should have removed some of this crummy stuff. Looks like there's some whack domains here. Anyways, let's remove URLs. I didn't even have to do that, really. Not containing yellow pages.com. Okay. Let's remove URLs containing B2B yellow pages.com. Excuse me. I want to remove these whack yellow pages URLs. I'm not really interested in those. Remove selected. I also don't want any of these whack Australian or Canadian. Remove URLs containing .com.au. .au. Remove URLs containing yellowpages.ca. I guess it wouldn't matter if I made pages in Australia or Canada, but I kind of don't really want to do that. So let's remove those. And then I'm just going to copy all these. Where is it? Copy all to clipboard. And then come down here and just paste them in. And that's 13,000, or yeah, 13,700. samples. Keyword location searches here. I found this easier to do this because you can just copy the same data to all the other tabs. So let's go ahead and grab those keywords from here. And we're just going to open up just a Google Ads keyword planner thing. You can use whatever keyword research tool you like, but just do this for now. It's easy enough. Taking forever. I'm going to close this. Maybe this will help. And let's go get search volume and forecasts. And let's paste these in. I don't remember the limit to this this section here. I'm trying to remember if this is what I did. I remember that I cut down my keyword list somehow. I don't remember exactly how I did that, but it may throw us a warning. This list may be too big. Keywords with errors. Let's see what the errors are. It can only enter up to 10,000. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's maybe cut out some of the locations. Is this from greatest to least? Yeah. So there's 5,000, 3 piles. It means we need to cut out like a third. Here's about half. I know I'm just kind of eyeballing this here. Let's try this and see if it throws us an error. Oh, that's darn it. Not quite. Sorry, give me a moment here, fellows. Oh, geez. So close. That didn't even do anything. That should do it. Yeah. Okay. Apologies for that. Need to remember this section is 10,000. Excuse me. Might take a second. Let me skip ahead. So when you land, it'll bring you to forecasts. You need to go to historical metrics. It's kind of lame that forecasts, you can't get a bigger picture in the timeline. Excuse me. So everything is showing up blank. Let's try sorting by average monthly searches. There we go. So SEO services, Los Angeles, California, yada 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 yada. Okay, I'm going to export this to CSV. Just one moment. I don't even save this file anywhere relevant. I just save it in my downloads folder. It's going to get deleted. Even though I sorted, it doesn't look like it sorted it properly. Average monthly searches. Let's see if we can sort here. Just one moment. So Sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the Home tab, Sort and Filter, Custom Sort, Sort by column D, cell values, largest to smallest. Actually, before I do that, I want to delete these columns, these rows, I mean. So custom sort, column D, largest to smallest. Yeah. So then I'm going to delete these two columns because I want to get this data here. Side by side. You can select the columns, but I'm just doing it like this. I'm going to paste it straight into the core area. Go back to the other area, the other sheet, and then just paste this here. It doesn't have to be lined up. That's not my purpose. I do like it to be, shoot. Well, there's no way around this. I'm going to do like to be 12-point font, Arial. And then this one needs to be 18. Justify left. And then you can basically just copy these two since they don't change. I like to have the over into these other tabs, you know. I like to have these in all these tabs though, just so I can kind of get a look at the locations while I'm looking at the, you know, the presence for the URLs for the various, you know, data that we're looking at. But anywho, let's then select this column and go to Insert and then Pivot Table. And we'll go to Existing Worksheet, and we'll go to column D here. Click that column. This is the data model. I'm going to drag this to rows, and then drag this to values. And then close this, and sort this Yellow Pages thing by count of Yellow Pages, greatest to least. And where are we at? Oh my gosh, 700 there. Probably no more than maybe 3. Let's say 4. That's plenty. So value greater than or equal to 4. So then here's the idea is, you know, and there's probably a way to, you know, create in the spreadsheet to then take the search volume data and the SERP presence, you know, data, and to correlate them so that you can get like the maximum, you know, of, you know, whatever has the most search volume, and then also whatever has the most, you know, number of pages. And so because you see the Louisville, Kentucky page for Yellow Pages apparently has 16 rankings across, I guess, local Kentucky pages, Kentucky search terms for SEO services, marketing consultant term, you know, and also what do you call it? Web design services. Typically, when I'm doing niche research, I probably wouldn't combine all those, because then when you're creating a specialty listing, like how are you going to know which one is you know, the one that's being picked up? Like in the title, you'd have to have, you know, marketing consultant for SEO services and web design services, or you have to have this really big title, you know, accompanying your brand or whatever your magnet would be. Anywho, And maybe that's a way to go. Maybe that's something to do. But you can see Louisville, Kentucky here has 10 searches a month. So that might not seem impressive, but then you got to remember that there's 16 other pages ranking. So got to wonder, it's kind of hard to tell what those might be, but it's enough to tell you that, okay, there's a little bit of search there and there's exposure on that particular page for, this one's marketing consultants. So let's take a look at, the actual term. And I know I was saying there was no way to tell, but what I meant was like, that marketing consultants page could be ranking for like web design or SEO possibly. So that's what I meant by it's kind of hard to tell. Like, anywho, so let's just do marketing. Well, let's do it in Google. Marketing consultants Louisville. Hey, why? Is that how you spell Louisville? Let's take a look. Yeah, Louisville. So there's some thumbtack pages. Yellow Pages is not here, but it's on Bing. So I mean, there's maybe some search volume there. It's hard to say. There oftentimes though, the Yellow Pages will be in these kinds of places. Maybe not so much in the bigger locations. That's kind of a major city. Let's do some other searches. Palos Heights, Illinois. Can't really select that. Palos Heights, Illinois. There's a Manta page. There's Yellow Pages. Best 30 marketing consultants in Orland Park, Illinois. Marketing consultants in Oak Lawn, Illinois. So you see there's, duplicates and multiple listings all over the place. Like, I have no idea so the search volume is probably non-existent in this place, but that's why we have this here to kind of just give us a guide. And you could easily just say, I'm just going to focus on these here, and you would probably be fine. But I find this stuff interesting because it can kind of give you insight into some places where you can get a lot of bang for your buck and just hit a lot of locations all at one time. Like Pittsburgh is a major city. Tulsa. Let's look at Tulsa, and then we'll call it a day on this video. Tulsa. Thumbtack. Clutch. No Yellow Pages there. In my other case study, I was finding them like every single time. I mean, it's going to vary from niche to niche, so go figure. Yellow Pages is probably better for some niches than it is for others. Anywho, did we look at the URL count data? I think we did. We saw some Yelp Pages ranking and what have you. But let's look a little bit here at some of the searches, and then we'll finish up. So according to this, SEO services, Denver, Colorado, Los Angeles, Raleigh, North Carolina, Boston, Massachusetts, Vancouver, Washington, marketing consultant pages. It really kind of seems like there's less marketing consultant, search volume, but there's actually a lot of these marketing consultant pages ranking for Yellow Pages in particular. So that's the usefulness of this data, is it can kind of tell you, where you might be able to piggyback. And I would even say that kind of gives you a little bit of insight into where you might be able to get some, typical rankings, because, if these kinds of pages are being found, in that capacity, that kind of suggests lower competition. But anywho, that's pretty much it. To recap, what we're doing in this method is we're scraping URLs from Bing, and then we're we're bringing them into with local service keywords, bringing them into Excel, and we're doing a data pivot table type of insert on the list of domains and also the URLs, and we're comparing that to search volume data, and that's just that, and then uh, just looking at the repetitions of pages for various open directories. And again, the goal is to piggyback on the rankings that already exist for these various pages that are already out there, in the hopes that maybe we can get a hold of some of this traffic. When you look at the total traffic for yellow pages, it looks like, or wait, the total traffic in general for these longer tail, city service keywords is 1,600 searches a month, which is probably lower, but this is kind of a specialty, keyword. In the other case study I did it with another niche, it was like 10,000 a month for all these different terms, and then there was all kinds of yellow pages and Yelp pages that were ranking. So it's going to vary between niches, of course, but just a really cool little, lead generation type opportunity. You have to spend some money on some guys to make these listings, and you might want to, get a couple of reviews on the listings that you make. But in a way, it's kind of similar to GMB verification, creating those GMB entities, but it's harder and more expensive to do that now, supposedly. And obviously GMBs are more rewarding, but there's risks. It's very costly. So this is something that I came up with, and I'm in the process of testing, because there's a lot of, as you can see, there's several directories that you could create. And if you had a method like this, where you were doing your research and really looking at the data, then you could be prepared to sort of piggyback on just these rankings that are already out there, not have all your eggs in the Google basket. I mean, it's technically Google that's coming from anyways, but it's just diversification of your traffic source, and it's a lot cheaper to get a listing made. And you can get a listing made for Yellow Pages and Yelp for something like, I want to say, maybe $10 or something like that. I don't remember. I got a bunch of quotes on it recently, and it was really, really cost effective. The reviews are a little more expensive. It's like $10 per review, depending on who you're talking to. But still somewhere between $10 and $30 for a couple of listings. If you're making the right choices, you could get yourself some legitimate exposure after 10 of them or so. Even if it just gives you, exposure to 100 searches a month or something like that, it's worthwhile. And that's not very expensive. So thanks for watching, and please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you have good ideas or whatever, and I'll catch you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.